Hello. So in this video, we're going to keep going through the balloon pop tutorial. So at this point, we have one balloon showing up, but we have our structure to have a lot of balloons. We used an array to then contain them all, using a function to generate one balloon and put it in the array. So now just making a few tweaks then to have 100 balloons show up, which with our basic structure, it really doesn't involve too much code to get that to happen. We just think about what are the things that we got to make the one balloon happen and wrap them inside of a loop that then makes them happen over and over and over again. So the first step is this line right here. All right, to take balloons.push, and I'm just going to write a comment that says like add new balloon to balloons array. And that's what that does there. Right, it does the push method on the array, which adds something to the end of it. Its arrays are kind of like a list, right? So it just puts it on the end at the bottom. And what does it put? Well, the result of the create balloon function, right, which makes a new balloon and it gives it an XY color and then it returns it. So that's actually how that data gets from the bottom of the code back to line 7 here, is with that return statement. We don't need a new function create balloon. That knows how to do its job. All we have to do is take this line and call it over and over and over and over again. But instead of copying and pasting, we're going to use a loop. So we could use a while loop, but we could also use a for loop. And I'm going to go with a for loop here because I know how many that I want. So I'm going to say for let I equal 0, I less than 100, semicolon I plus plus. All right, so notice the 2 semicolons that are in here. Right, this is a very standard kind of a for loop. For let I equal 0, semicolon I less than something, right, 100 in this case, semicolon I plus plus. Right? That's a very similar for loop that we see over and over and over again. And the idea of this for loop is that it will repeat whatever's in these curly braces 100 times. All right, start counting from 0, count by ones, add 1 each time, and then continue as long as that number is less than 100, which since we count starting from 0, we do get 100. All right, so this is putting them in that array here. Right, so it actually did generate 100 balloons. We just don't see them because we didn't call all of them. We didn't draw all of them here. My code in function draw still says draw balloon balloon 0. When I say a specific index here, that's only referencing one of the balloons. So let's use another for loop. For let I equal 0, semicolon I less than 100, semicolon I plus plus, in the parenthesis, open the curly brace and close it here. Right, so we see what's on the inside of the curly brace is that draw balloon with balloons 0. But again, I'm kind of only going to see the one balloon. Now it did draw 100 circles just in the same exact place because I'm still only trying to draw that first balloon, the balloon's index 0. So the idea here is, sometimes I wanted to draw 0, sometimes 1, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 5. That variable I does exactly that. That's what that variable helps us do inside the for loop. If I say draw balloon, parens, balloons, square brackets, I, then that I right there is going to do that pattern. It's going to do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, all the way up to 99, which is what we want. So now I actually see all the balloons. Now maybe they're laying on top of each other and maybe they're kind of off the screen a little bit. So if you counted them, you might not necessarily see 100 because of those issues. But for the most part, yeah, we got 100 balloons here. Now, if I wanted to draw 200 balloons, right, then when I go to create them, I could change this for loop here a little bit. Let's take a look at like this draw balloons. And I'm just experimenting here. All right, I want to draw 200 balloons. So as long as I is less than 200, I draw the balloons. All right, it does throw an error. Cannot read property color of undefined. And part of that issue is that there is no such thing as an index of even 100, but certainly 150. There is no balloons index 150 in that array. It just doesn't exist. So that's why it throws this error. So if I want to draw 200 balloons, well, I also have to create 200 balloons in the first place. Okay, so a little hard to tell if that's actually more or less because of the randomness of it. All right. But one thing we could use to make this a little more automatic is replace these with some kind of a variable. All right, so inside of function setup here, I'm just going to use a number, because that kind of starts the process. So I want 100 balloons. But then when I draw them, I don't want to have to go in and change this number every time. So to make it a little more automatic and to use a variable to make this automatic, I'm going to start with the balloons array as my variable, dot length. So arrays have a dot length property that is just however long they are. Right? So that will be the number 200 because that's how many I pushed into the array. Right? So then if I want to ramp it up to 400, I only have to change it in one place. All right, so I think I definitely am seeing more here. And then down here, when it goes to draw them, it just draws all balloons. It continues until it's reached balloons.length. Now balloons.length is 400. The very last index is 399 because it starts counting from 0. But we do see all of them because we start from 0, we continue until it gets to that point. So when it starts from 0, that just kind of lines up here. It seems a little weird at first, but it actually does make things pretty efficient. So we have it set up now to draw lots of balloons just by really adding 2 for loops. I mean, 2 like lines of code plus a couple extra curly braces, and it repeated everything hundreds of times. And if we wanted to, for some reason, we could draw all 4,000 balloons. Takes a little while, but they show up. All right, so then we'll start to see how to make these balloons clickable. When we click on them, that they pop, and how to make them wiggle around. And so we'll make these balloons actually do something and interact in